Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Kansas City Profiles presented by Easton Roofing. Well, in advance of World Stroke Day, which is next Thursday, the 29th of October, I have an interview today with Kansas City local Bill Martin, who credits his beloved Kansas City Chiefs for saving his life. Stroke is the second leading cause of death and the third leading cause of disability worldwide, and many don't realize how likely stroke is to affect them. Bill was one of the lucky ones, a lifelong superfan and season ticket holder at the time. He was about to enter Arrowhead Stadium for last year's game against the Raiders when he lost his balance and fell. It turned out to be the early signs of a stroke, and I'll let him give you all the details of the story, but this turned out to be a happy story, and a story that obviously we can use to be a vehicle for educating people about the dangers of stroke. Bill, because he was at the game, because he was around a lot of people, because he was around paramedics, and because he was around other law enforcement officials, as he is the sheriff of Bourbon County. Fort Scott is his home, and he has been the sheriff of Bourbon County for 7 years, and he was able to access quick help and was able to get quick recovery, and indeed, it was a complete success story, and he was back to being the sheriff within a couple of weeks. Those are all parts of that story, but we also can tell a little bit about the story of what you can do to perhaps make sure that you don't have the same thing happen to you. But Bill does indeed feel like the Chiefs saved his life, because if he was driving down the road, or if he was in his office, or if he was anywhere, in fact, maybe besides Arrowhead Stadium, maybe this story would have gone in a different direction. Up next, Bill Martin, in advance of World Stroke Day, talks about his amazing story at Arrowhead Stadium on Kansas City Profiles, presented by Easton Roofing. We're here with Joe Spiker, the CEO and president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you had a great year in 2019, a record year. 2020 comes, things are moving smoothly along, and then the coronavirus comes. But your company seemed to be very ready, very proactive, and very ready to serve your customers well.
Yeah, we adopted social distancing very early, before the cities even put out the notices. And we started working from home. We are largely cloud-based as a company, so that transition was easy. Our technicians are wearing masks and gloves, and salespeople are not meeting with homeowners. We're doing everything digitally and doing everything we can to do our part to get over this as quickly as possible.
So for any needs that people have right now, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, you can always call us, 913-257-5426. But the best way is to go to eastonroofing.com, put your information in, and we'll give you a call.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters. It's time now to get some great assistance on healthcare with Chad Beisel from no-nonsense-healthcareninja.com. And Chad, even your business's name would indicate that you have a real aggressive way and an important way to go after some health insurance for your clients.
What I've found out in the industry is just a lot of people are really confused. They don't know what plans are good, what their plans offer, how they cover. And so I've just taken the approach of being really educated on what options are available to clients and showing them all the options that are available and making sure they understand them so they can pick and choose what options are good for them.
And one thing that's really important, of course, is access to doctors and hospitals.
Absolutely. That's become a big issue for a lot of people. Some of the plans out there are going to restrict those clients to where they can and cannot go. So if you live just outside the Kansas City metro, some of the counties outside, you may not be able to go to some of the hospitals up here in the Kansas City area. So making sure that you have a plan that's got doctors and hospitals and places you want to go is really, really important today.
Learn more by visiting no-nonsense-healthcareninja.com and let Chad help you. Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Vision's goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. I'm here with Tim Emerson, the owner of Emerson & Company. And Tim, give us an idea of the range of services that you provide from Emerson & Company.
At Emerson & Company, we do credit card processing, payroll services. We do bookkeeping, merchant accounts like point-of-sale systems.
What would you say differentiates you from other companies in the field, and what makes you special?
I think what makes us unique is that we're a small local business making regional decisions on companies. We create a profile for the business and then put it out to our different vendors in a very competitive environment and tailor those needs to the specific business, which usually ends up in a great fit or great result for the company.
And, of course, the idea is to save money, right?
Save money, and actually sometimes I'm surprised where actually a solution that may cost a little bit more ultimately does save money, but we're not conditioned to think like that sometimes.
Emerson & Company. Check them out at emerson-co.com or call them at 816-360-9092.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Bill, it's a pleasure to have you aboard here on Kansas City Profiles presented by Easton Roofing, as we are just a little bit away from World Stroke Day on Thursday, October 29th, and your compelling story of being rescued after having a stroke at a Chiefs game is certainly something that is compelling and unique, and also we get to spread awareness about the issue of strokes, which are one of the leading causes of disability worldwide. No question about that. You're not an old man by any stretch of the imagination, just in your early 50s. Give me a little bit of your background before we get into the story of the fateful day at Arrowhead Stadium.
Thank you, Danny, for having me on. My name's Bill Martin, and I am the elected sheriff of Bourbon County. I'm located in Fort Scott, Kansas, about 95 miles south of Kansas City. And I've been the sheriff for the last 7 years, and I've been in law enforcement for over 30 years.
Well, that's your background a little bit. I'm sure somebody who's a sheriff and an elected official and popular enough to be in that position for 7 years and in a law enforcement career is probably someone in pretty good shape and sharp awareness and things of that nature. So tell me about yourself, how you were feeling and everything else when you, as a lifelong super fan, as is described here, and season ticket holder, going to enter Arrowhead Stadium for last year's game against the, then, Oakland Raiders, now the Las Vegas Raiders. Take me through that day a little bit.
Yes, Danny. It was back in December 1st of last year. It'll be almost a year. Several friends and I had gone to the Kansas City Chiefs game. We had arrived in the parking lot. We were, of course, getting our Chiefs gear on because it was kind of a cool, cloudy day that day, and just kind of enjoying the atmosphere. Getting motivated for the game. Was walking to the gate where we enter, and as I was walking, I stumbled. I felt like I tripped on something, and then I stumbled and fell to the ground. And I thought I just tripped over something that I didn't see, and I tried to get back up, and I couldn't keep my balance. And so I fell back to the ground again. And at that time, my friends that were with me came over and tried to help me up. And with them helping me up, or trying to help me up, once again, I could not keep my balance. So they kind of moved me off to the side, and within seconds, the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department personnel that was there at the game came over to check to see what was going on. Because if somebody having a stroke, sometimes they show signs of somebody under the influence of alcohol or drugs, possibly. And so they came over to check out what was going on. And my friends said, there's something wrong. So they kind of did an assessment of me, and they realized that I was in the process of having a stroke because my face was starting to droop, which is a sign of a stroke, and my speech, communication, was starting to slur, and which is also another sign of a stroke. And once they recognized that, they immediately called for the paramedics and EMTs, which they immediately came over. They did their assessment and confirmed what everybody else was saying, and that's when they realized that I was definitely having a full-blown stroke, and they needed to get me to medical care.
Now, one of the things that you talked about, the symptoms there, and an acronym is used for that, FAST, or F-A-S-T, which stands for face drooping, arm weakness, speech, and time to call 911. Did your friends have to explain, quickly? I don't want to be rude or comic or whatever, that this wasn't the result of tailgating. I mean, did you have to go through some kind of a questioning process there to get through that step anyway?
Yes, and that was one of the things that was concerned, because the Kansas City officers asked, have you been drinking and stuff. My friends, of course, informed him no, he has not been drinking, and I don't drink. I'm not a drinker. And when they immediately identified who I was, that I was the elected sheriff of Bourbon County, then they that kind of, not saying I'm any different than anybody else by no means, but those officers saw an officer down, basically, and that's when they stepped up and thought, we have one of our brothers in blue that's in need of help, and we got to get this ball rolling pretty quick. And so everybody jumped on board.
It was very fast action, obviously, and you were taken to St. Luke's Marion Block Neuroscience Institute. Were you cognizant during this particular incident, or were you aware of what was going on, or had you sort of passed out?
Well, see, I was in and out of consciousness, Danny, and that's one thing that it's really scary, because my friends and the paramedics and the officers were all deciding where they were going to take me, and there were 2 other hospitals that they were talking about. And I thought I was telling them, just take me to St. Luke's, just take me to St. Luke's. But those words weren't coming out of my mouth. And to this day, I talked to my friends about it. Are you sure I wasn't saying anything, telling you to take me to St. Luke's? And they said, no, you weren't saying anything. And I was in and out of consciousness, too. But when they loaded up, they made the right decision. When they loaded me up in the ambulance, they did take me to St. Luke's on the Plaza. But I was in very good hands with the paramedics. The paramedic that took care of me in the back, she must have been a long life Chiefs fan, because I had my Chiefs gear on. And usually a paramedic with a pair of surgical scissors can really do damage to clothing. And she took the time to remove my Chiefs sweatshirt and T-shirt stuff and set it off to the side. And then, of course, after that, she went to town with the surgical scissors, and I don't know where my T-shirt and stuff went from that point on. But, yeah, I was in and out of consciousness when that was taking place, and so a big shout-out to her for saving my Chiefs gear.
You went to the hospital, and a neuroradiology specialist made a diagnosis that you were having a major stroke, and it was due to a blood clot in your brain. And most of the time, people have no idea, obviously, that they have clotting, or they would have done some treatment before this. And this medical team used a new, unique interventional technology which didn't require open surgery of the brain. What have you found out about this procedure subsequently, and how groundbreaking is it?
It is new, and the name of it, Danny, is thrombectomy, is I believe is how you pronounce it. That's a medical word that I hate to destroy, but it's what the procedure is they take a device and they enter it to the groin area, and they follow the veins or the arteries up through your body, up to the head, to the brain where the clot was. And mine, of course, was on the right side. Once the device got there, there's kind of a fish net device, I guess. I really don't know how to describe it. That will come out of this tube, and it captures that blood clot, closes it, and then they bring the device back out. It was very interesting when they were doing it, because I was in and out of consciousness, so I was aware. I could hear the talking taking place, and the doctor had made the comment, don't move when this procedure is being done, and he said, you're going to feel a severe headache, and once you feel that, please do not move. And sure enough, within seconds, I had a severe headache that felt like my head was about ready to explode. But it only lasted maybe 2 or 3 seconds, maybe 4, and the pain went away. And the next pain that I received, which only lasted for a few seconds, is when they were removing it from my groin area, trying to reach up to get them to stop. But another nurse or an aide came over and held my hand down and told me not to move. And once they removed the device, that's when I started to the blood flow started back to my brain again.
It kind of sounds like you had a little bit of an ice cream headache type of headache. Would that be a good description of it?
A brain freeze, basically. You're sucking down a Sonic cup, a slushie or something, and you get a brain freeze. That's exactly what it was.
Now, this procedure obviously went incredibly well, and you actually were able to watch the end of the game in your hospital room. That's how quickly the procedure went and how well it went. Is that true?
Yes, that's how quick it went. And they took me to the recovery room. Once they got me there, somebody, one of the nurses' staff, medical staff, made the comment that this was the sheriff that was at the Chiefs game, and he was walking in, and I started to get my speech back, and I asked if the game was still on, and they said yes, it was, and I asked if they could turn the TV on for me to watch it because, I'm a diehard Chiefs fan. I just can't let a stroke stop me. I got to watch them. If I'm not there, let's watch them. So they found the remote control. They turned on the TV, found the station, and I watched about the last 10 minutes of the game.
So this is an interesting story that comes full circle, and we'll get into some of the things that you've learned about strokes and do some education. But here comes the sheriff of Bourbon County, who doesn't drink, even though he's the sheriff of Bourbon County, and he has a stroke, and this procedure goes remarkably well. And your speech actually was coming back almost completely by the time you were watching the ball game?
Yes, my speech was completely back. My mobility, I was able to move my arms and legs. When I was having the stroke, of course, when I was in the parking lot and also in the emergency room, I could not raise my arms or my legs. I was completely immobile. And as a law enforcement officer, that's really scary because, we are the type that nothing gets us down. But, we're also taught and are informed, fight through it. You will live. You will survive. Don't let anything, take you. And I kind of remember that through my police training and stuff. But yes, once they got me in the room, my communication, talking came back, and my mobility also came back.
That's very fortunate because a lot of people do have really lengthy recoveries, and it sounds like maybe you were able to, because of the fast action of these people, almost start returning to normal pretty quickly?
Yes, and there's a rule. It's called the golden rule. It's 1 hour. Referred to as the 1 hour golden rule. If you show signs of a face drooping or an arm weakness or a slur of speech, don't sit back and say, I'll be fine. Let me gather my thoughts. Everything's okay. And that's what I did with my friends. I told them, I'll be fine. I'll catch up with you, inside the stadium. If one of you just kind of stay here with me. You can't do that because you're probably in the process of having a stroke. And you need to act immediately because you have that 1 hour window, because after that 1 hour, it becomes deadly, or there's a possibility you won't be able to get your mobility or your strength back. I mean, there's a lot of things that take in play, and you just got to make sure that you get into the hospital within that 1 hour period.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Most of us have experienced auto accidents, and it's no fun. And even less fun is trying to work on the insurance aspects afterwards and getting full value after an auto accident. I'm here with David Cowan from RecExpert.com. And David, you have an unusual and important niche for people after an auto accident.
We have a passion to teach car wreck clients what they deserve. Getting your car repaired only fixes the damage and the paint. Getting paid for your car's loss in value is called diminished value. Chances are you've never heard of this before because most people aren't looking out for you. We help people collect thousands to tens of thousands of dollars for their car's loss in value after the wreck.
And if somebody wants to come to you for that, what's the original assessment cost them?
We offer a free review of any insurance claim to see how we can help.
You can't beat that. Great expertise and assistance in getting full value after an auto accident. From David Cowan, visit RecExpert.com and learn more.
Hi, everybody. This is Matt Llewellyn from 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence. I just want to thank everybody for supporting local restaurants during this time of uncertainty. 23rd Street Brewery is now open until this pandemic is over. And right now, more than anything, local restaurants need your help and support. Come on out and see us. 23rd Street Brewery is open now from 11:30 till 9 o'clock for dine-in and carry-out. Whatever we can do to help you out, maybe with your catering needs, too. I appreciate all the support, and thank you for continuing to shop local.
Firsthand, I have enjoyed the benefits of the CBD products from Canaway. My back feels better and better these days as a major part of my routine are the pain-relieving salve and the Pure Gold oil. And recently I had the pleasure of a treatment session using the Canaway CBD in conjunction with the Microlight 830 cold laser. The non-invasive treatment session worked wonders, and I could barely tell I was even being touched. TML-830 is the first 3B cold laser to get FDA approval, and in addition, the combination treatment with CBD is patent pending. The new Smart Laser is the only hands-free cold laser in the world and is used by athletic trainers, chiropractors, MDs, physical therapists, and veterinarians everywhere. You can learn more about all the great benefits from the complete line of Canaway CBD products by contacting my friend Sherry McCants at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312 to get outstanding information about Canaway. It's time to visit once again with Dr. Brad Woodle of Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. And Dr. Brad, your group has reached a significant milestone in receiving a prestigious award.
Danny, we've been honored for the 10th year in a row to receive the 5-Star Service Award from Integrity Doctors. And what this means is that all of our offices throughout Kansas City have made sure to give people excellent chiropractic and acupuncture care, be on time, and do a very complete and thorough job, and have great responses back from patients.
I know firsthand because I was just treated, for instance, today by you. You have a wide range of fantastic services.
Absolutely. Chiropractic, acupuncture, physiotherapies, rehab, anything that you need to keep you well in bones, muscles, joints, and nerves.
And I can't say how much it's benefited me in the time I've coming here. Upwards of 2 years, my back has improved 100%. And you can have that same kind of treatment too. For more information and your chance for a healthier way of life, visit asfca.com/Danny today. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Our guest is Bill Martin, the sheriff of Bourbon County, and Fort Scott is his home and his base, as it were, in Bourbon County. And he's been the sheriff for 7 years, and you obviously have heard this remarkable story of him. How long was it before you were completely yourself?
Well, like I said, I had good people on my side, Danny. I really did. You know, from the beginning, from the paramedics taking care of me, from my friends identifying it, and Dr. Halpin and the St. Luke's team that actually did an outstanding job. What they did, I was back to work within a week.
Wow.
Sunday, of course, is when I had the stroke. Wednesday, I was released from the hospital. Thursday, I had a staff meeting with with all my deputies and administration and stuff to let them know that their sheriff is fine. There's nothing wrong with me. Just need a few days off. The following week, I worked half the days, and then that second week, I was back to full duty again.
Do you have, it's been about a year, has there been any type of after effects or things that you notice about yourself, or are you the old Bill Martin?
I'm basically the old Bill Martin. I mean, there's a couple of things that I might do a boo-boo on, but I blame that on the stroke, but it's not really the stroke. It's just a stupidity on my part. That's it.
So no physical things, no part of your face that, has lost a little elasticity or whatever, anything like that, because you did have this taken care of so quickly.
Yeah, I still have that nice-looking face and great voice that I have, and I'm walking in a straight line where it doesn't look like I'm under the influence of anything. So, yes, I'm back to my normal Bill Martin.
What kind of effect did this have on you as far as being an advocate or trying to learn more? You obviously were extremely lucky, and I think probably, don't get me wrong, I think I'm just guessing here, but I think why you think that the Chiefs are the reason that you might be alive or whatever is because you could have had the stroke anywhere, obviously, and you had it where there were hundreds of people around, where there were paramedics, where there were law enforcement personnel. If you had it, say, in the office or something, that may not have gone so well. Right,
and that is true. And and people that I talk to, and they bring to my attention, I always tell them the Kansas City Chiefs are the ones that saved my life because I'm a season ticket holder, and I went to the game. And if I was sitting at home and it was an away game, sitting at home, I probably wouldn't be sitting or standing here talking to you or trying to educate the public in regards to the strokes, how serious they are. I mean, I worked out every morning. I believe I was in great health, great diet, ran every other day. But on December 1st of 2019, I didn't see it coming. And, I mean, it hit me hard, and I went down. And before you know it, within 2 hours, they're pulling a blood clot out from the right side of my brain.
Do they have is there any way that you can scan for this, and do they have an explanation of what may have happened for you that led to you having a blood clot?
The doctors are still out on that decision. They don't know where it came from. They're still kind of baffled by that, but they're still looking into it. I mean, I still see the doctor about every 4 to 6 months with follow-ups and doing different testing. My heart is back to normal, to where it was, because there was a stress on my heart from this stroke. But to this day, they still don't understand where it came from or why I even had the stroke.
And that certainly is undoubtedly why this is such a deadly thing and such a tragedy in so many cases, is that people, have a blood clot, don't know it, maybe in some place that's a remote location. What are the, what's the medical technology? You mentioned that they'd made you had a great new procedure that didn't even require invasive surgery. Is there research that goes on to try and figure out how to further prevent stroke, or have some kind of screening process that allows people to know that they perhaps are in danger of that particular thing?
Yeah, there are different testing out there from what I understand, and that's something that you need to reach out to your medical professionals about, your family doctors, and just say, hey, especially if you have a history. My dad died of a stroke. But there's other underlying issues as to the reason why he had a stroke and died, which is the total opposite of me. But, you need to reach out and talk to your doctor and say, hey, I might have a family history of strokes. Is there a possibility that I could be a candidate for one? And if so, let's do some testing so that, I'm not walking into a Chiefs game and I go down like Sheriff Martin did, and I'm sitting at St. Luke's having them pull a blood clot out. You might want to get ahead of it now, because I can tell you right now, and please don't take this wrong, Kansas City Chiefs fans, but strokes, I had to give up my season tickets because strokes today, they're not cheap, and I can't return a stroke. There's no 30-day return policy on a stroke. And so, and it also affects your life. But talk to your doctors and and get ahead of it so you don't actually have it.
Well, the reason we're speaking today is that someone reached out to me and suggested that this story be told, and obviously I wasn't the only one. How did you develop a team, as it were, or maybe a situation where you're right here in advance of National World Stroke Day on the 29th, trying to spread the word? How did that come about?
It came about in regard to St. Luke's. They did a few campaigns, and I also had reached out and actually provided life-saving awards to my friends that were with me that day for helping me save my life. Also with the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department, the Kansas City Fire Department paramedics, and also St. Luke's. They all received life-saving awards. We had a ceremony back in March before COVID hit, and everybody was presented with those awards prior to a police board commission meeting. And the story picked up from there, and it went on.
So tell me what it's like to be the sheriff of Bourbon County.
I love it. I enjoy it. There are times I would like to take up the drinking of bourbon sometimes, but I don't. But no, I'm really having a good time being the sheriff. I wouldn't change it for the world. I enjoy working with the people, the community. I have a great team with me. Matter of fact, there are a couple of deputies that everybody might be aware of, and one of them is Adam LaRoche. He is one of my part-time deputies.
Yep.
And also Anthony Sherman, the fullback for the Chiefs. He's also one of my part-time deputies here in Bourbon County. I'll be sending him off to the State Academy here next spring when he's done with his season for the Chiefs for this season. And I'll send him off during off-season to the academy so he can be certified as a law enforcement officer for the state of Kansas and for the Bourbon County Sheriff's Office. And then he'll have that, and then he'll go back playing for the Chiefs again, I hope.
Now, Sheriff, don't get me wrong, is Sheriff's an elected position in Bourbon County? Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
So what is it like when you're a law enforcement person and you decide that you want to well, you have to enter politics. You have to be a politician of sorts. What's the mixture of that for you?
Well, you have to be community oriented. You have to be willing to talk to people, and just be yourself basically. And but you also are a law enforcement officer, and sometimes you have to mix those two together. But overall, it's really a good time. It's a fun time, but I'm really looking forward for this election to be over, because every 4 years it's really something interesting.
I bet that's absolutely the case. So what is your state of mind now? When do you still go to the games physically in person, even though there's a limited amount of tickets? Have you been able to do that yet? Or when you're watching on television, what's the feeling like for you? I mean, each and every game that you watch for the rest of your life will bring you back to that day.
Oh, yeah, it does. And matter of fact, when I went to the Denver game, which is the game after the Raiders, I believe, last year, I was at that game, and it was snowing that day. And I'm sitting there thinking, where are the paramedics and where are the officers that took care of me? Because, here I am 2 weeks later at a Chiefs game, and, among, 75, 80,000 fans. And, here I am, I don't want to say paranoid, but kind of concerned of possibly having another stroke. And we're the paramedics and the officers that can get me out in time if I go through that process again. But I'm slowly coming around, and I do miss going to the games because of COVID that hit. I miss that atmosphere. I miss that adrenaline rush and stuff. But, once COVID is over with and we can take these gloves and masks off, I'm looking forward to going back and watching those Chiefs again.
So each step of the way, each game, maybe you get a little further away from thinking about the fact that Chiefs Day is Stroke Day?
Yes.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you and giving some awareness to World Stroke Day on the 29th. Your story is an amazing one and a fortunate one, and I know you probably feel pretty damn fortunate. Yeah,
and I do. And Danny, and thank you very much for allowing me to put that story out there. And like I said, if you have those signs, if you have the face drooping or, the arm weakness in your speech, like you're under the influence or something, don't tell yourself or don't tell your family and friends, I'll be fine. You're not fine. You need to go seek medical attention as quickly as you possibly can.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Kling Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Kling Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.